Thursday. Stay one. Glad you're here. First of all, assessment. How are you feeling? I know you're feeling good because you had a good meditation this morning. Betsy? Okay. You're good? Yeah. Danny?
I'm sore.
Sore?
I'm just tired, but the movement will be good for me. I'm just physically, mentally tired from travel.
How about you?
I'm crybaby for no reason.
Me too. We're gonna talk about that. Mark, you came
For
in
no reason.
very like
Good physically.
joyous.
Yeah, what goes, I'm still fighting this thing now.
Yes.
I could start with that on the last.
He tried to retire, but they won't let him retire.
Or won't let you.
You know, I thought I was gonna
Yeah.
starve. Really, I thought I was gonna starve. And then my company gave me enough money, I'm not gonna starve. And then all the other companies are trying to hire me and I don't wanna be hired. And I tell them, I give them all these conditions and they still say yes, instead of just saying no. So I'm just saying, I just ghosted this. I mean, if I said the name of the company, you would recognize it. It's a huge multi-billion-dollar company. President's like, could you come help advise us with some stuff? And just didn't respond for 10 days and stressed about it. Then finally this morning I texted and said, "Get off until April, I'll do some one-on-one coaching if you want." And that's it.
Good for you.
You know, see what
How
it
great
is.
to be in demand though.
Yeah.
You got skills. I think it's a good idea for you to put that boundary up and then wait until April, because that's when spring comes, that's when the action begins, and the winter time is about slowing down and being more internal.
I'm doing the reads right now. Retreat, relax, recharge,
Yes.
focus, replenish.
Boy,
reflect,
and this is the
right?
time to do it.
30 years of that. So yeah, right now I'm feeling pretty good. I've been stressing a lot about that and trying to give myself permission to
Say no.
just say no and also to have fun for myself, to have things the way that I want, you know,
Yeah.
to be able to buy things that are just because I just want to.
Yes.
You know, I always was like guilty, shame you think about that, but I'm trying to look at it. So.
Freedom. That's nice. You're in a good place.
I don't need to be all weekend. I felt so guilty about it. My son and I love going up the Wind Rock and riding the rocks up there. Yeah, so anyway.
How about you?
Physically good, just mentally a little overwhelmed.
Yeah. Okay. God, I got something flying around me. Sorry. The energy is super intense right now. And obviously, depending on where we are in our natal chart, where planets are aligned towards personally, we're all going to experience it a little bit differently. I'm feeling a lot of what you guys are feeling. I've been so exhausted, have not been able to sleep very well. I even took a Benadryl to try to help me sleep well last night, and I still couldn't go to sleep. So I put my lavender eye pillow on, and I had this music playing in the background, turned my Reiki hands on, giving myself Reiki. That finally put me to sleep, but I couldn't stay asleep. I have been very weepy as well, super, super sensitive. I've had surprisingly a lot of insecurities popping up that I haven't experienced since my 20s. And I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, what? The good news is I have heard that if you've already worked through a lot of things and things are cropping up to the surface that's unexpected, it's the final purge of it. So hopefully we're purging something. You may be purging something different than that. I'm feeling mentally drained and exhausted as well. I love putting together classes, and I did 2 yesterday, a workshop here. And then I got super sensitive last night, super emotional last night, super exhausted last night, couldn't even think about it. Someone had requested that I focus on the vagus nerve, and I am going to do that. My intention was to do it today, but I just couldn't wrap my head around it. So that's probably going to be the lesson plan on Wednesday. So I'm going to talk about the energy a little bit, so hopefully it'll make some sense. We have been in, it started in October and it'll continue through December, the most intense energy of the entire year. And this year it has already been challenging and difficult in its own right. I feel like personally 2021 has been harder than 2020, and 2020 was already hard. So we have we've been in what's called Scorpio season, and the Mercury, the planet in charge of communication, is in Scorpio right now, and so is Mars. Mars is the planet of leadership, war, other things too, but you could be at war with yourself about something. Basically yesterday when I was doing the gratitude workshop, literally everybody that came through the doors was deflated. And when I started talking to them one-on-one, and then when we started collectively talking, people were feeling a lot of stuff surfacing within themselves. They were feeling angst at home. There were friction in their relationships. This is a common thing that's happening right now. So if that's happening with you, I just want you to know you're not alone, and we are being influenced. All of us are being influenced by what's hitting the planet right now. So the sun will be also in Scorpio for the full moon that's happening on Friday. Full moon is related to water, related to the feminine, related to emotions. And it's also the lunar eclipse. So think about the full moon is its fullness when it's in direct opposition of the sun, right? And that's why we get the full moon, the reflection of the sun. And then on top of that, we're getting the lunar eclipse. So the eclipse is the full moon and emotions. Our emotions can get more sensitive and more charged up. And with this being also a lunar eclipse, it can become really exaggerated and overblown, which is what I'm feeling right now. Because the eclipse is also happening, remember the eclipse is about shining light on things that are hidden, obscured, denied, ignored, unveiled, secretive, right? Making sense? So things are going to be maybe coming up from the inside, or things may be happening in the external world where these things are going to start being more and more exposed. We have a lot of exposure already happening right now, and a lot of stuff being pushed away that's being exposed. It's going to be coming more and more to the forefront. In fact, it is being said by the astrologers and everybody studying the natal chart of the United States that there is going to be something that's been hidden or not seen that's going to come right out, and maybe shocking for a lot of us. So hold tight, maintain your practice, because things can't change or evolve or transform until it is known, until there's awareness of it. And so let the awareness be a good thing, even if it's a bad thing, right?
Absolutely.
Because things can't change unless you know what to change. And it's going to be a breaking of a cycle, a beginning of a new cycle, a breaking of old patterns. And I'm going to say, if I wrote some cliff notes down, I've only listened to one thing so far. I've been following some of the other stuff. I just listened to one on the eclipse coming in to Franklin today.
So the eclipse is Friday.
The eclipse is this Friday, the lunar, and then there's a solar eclipse in December. So we're gonna have them back to back. Well, there's always 2 or 3 in a row, and this one I think there's just 2. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. Be cautious about the words that are spoken when we're in that emotion, because words hold power, and we don't want to regret what we say, and it could be a long-term effect, of course, just kind of vomiting out with our words. The good thing about the abundant energy that comes in with this is that we can actually harness it if we use care and compassion and creativity. So Beth, like you did that this morning. Beth said she had one of the best meditations ever. So that was a good practice to go in. And so you were basically harnessing that energy and moving it through, and that was a great benefit to you. And that's something that I need to do today, for sure. The last thing I want to mention with this eclipse, it's supposed to be the ushering in of the next big break of humanity's evolution. And I've been talking for a couple years, we're entering into the age of Aquarius. We're going to be leaving the patriarchal age behind. The divine feminine is coming in, and there's going to be more equality coming in. There's going to be more social justices coming in. There's going to be more unity consciousness coming in. This whole, I don't know if you know, I hope I'm not offending anybody with this, but there are some extreme religious Christians right now that are thinking this is the end of times. This is like the apocalypse coming or whatever. In a way, they're kind of right, because it's really Christ consciousness coming in. It's not the return of Christ the way that we were taught in church. It's Christ consciousness coming in. It's the unity consciousness. It's compassion consciousness coming in. And it's just the beginning stages of it coming in. That's why there was that Christmas star last year. That was the signal of hope. And so it's going to start getting better, but it's going to get a little bit more chaotic before it starts to get better, but it's going to get better. And if you maintain that vision, and the last thing I'm going to say that kind of blew my mind. So when I was listening to the astrologer this morning, she said, this particular lunar eclipse is going to be the longest that we've had since 1440. And I'm not a history buff, so I'm like, 14, what's going on in 1440? I don't know. Luckily, she explained in the 1440s was the beginning of slavery. I believe she said it was when the Portuguese took some of the noble people from Africa, and it was the first thing of slavery. So she was saying, since that was the beginning of the enslavement era, this will be the eradication and the ending of the slavery era, which is nice, because what has been in the forefront happening in the last few years? Sex trafficking. I've known about it for much longer than that, before it became like headlines. But we've known this has been a problem, and guess who leads the world in sex trafficking? The United States of America, which is really sad and despicable in my mind. So this is going to be the beginning of it clearing, which is fantastic, right? But also think about the other information that's coming out, how media is controlled and how they manipulate us through media for mind control. Think about what also has been coming out, all the documentaries and stuff about social media, and how social media and the algorithms are controlling the narrative and what's being seen and what's being heard and what's being slanted and what's being changed and altered, and making us confused and making us not know what truth is, what reality is, what all of that is control, keeping us in a way enslaved. So I love what she said. She was like, this is the ending of that era and the beginning of the new. So when things start breaking down, because things will start breaking down more and more, the healthcare system, the financial system, all this stuff is going to start breaking down. Don't be scared, be glad. Because what's happening is the old has to dissolve, the new has to come in, and there's all these people waiting in the background that are going to come out and are going to have the solutions. They're going to have the answers. They're going to have the finances. They're going to be helping us through it. And the United States, according to our natal chart and according to what all the people are reading, we're going to lead the way. And I know it looks bleak right now. And I know we're polarized right now. And I know people don't even want to leave their houses right now because of the anxiety of what they're going to face or feel. We're so super sensitive now. We're picking up on everybody's stuff. Please remember, this is the dawning of a new age. It will get better. So cry if you need to cry. You know, I know we're going to have sleepless nights. I know we're going to get weepy. I know we're going to have to set some boundaries, but it's all for the greater good, and it's all in the divine plan. All right? Hopefully that gives you hope. Can we start in child's pose? Child's pose doesn't work. Remember this one, crocodile. Because I know not everyone's knees can handle child's pose, especially in the beginning without getting a warm up. So take the form that speaks to you and your body right now. Close your eyes. Control your breath. Smooth it out. And let it help to bridge the mind and the body. Allow the breath to help you connect back to your true self within. Allow your breath to drop you out of your head and more into your heart. Feel the expansion as you breathe in, and the soft centering as you breathe out. Resting at this marma point for the third eye. The third eye that gives us new insight, our intuitive guidance, our creative imagination, as well as helping us to gain a broader and clearer perspective of things. So we're going to continue to open up the breath, but we're going to go ahead and get active. And the first thing I want you to do is send your arms out in front of you. And if you've been in passive crocodile, go ahead and take extended child's pose. So your hips are coming back towards your heels, but you're going to outstretch your arms, flying the elbows off the floor, crawling your fingertips farther away, lifting your head up so you're looking down the lane of your mat. And I want you to notice how you're stretching out that area behind your heart, the thoracic or dorsal region of your back. And on your next inhalation, rock up to hands and knees, separate the toes if they're touching, and notice when we rock up, with the arms outstretched, they're typically a little more forward than the shoulders. So go ahead and track your hands back so the wrists are more or less underneath the head and shoulder bones. Splay the fingers nice and wide. Anchor down through your shins, ankles, and feet, as well as through your palms to feel really active and strong through your arms. Notice the engagement of the muscles in the upper back and the belly hugging in towards your back body. So this should be an active position where you're not allowing your belly to sink or a collapse to happen between the shoulder blades. Now on your next inhalation, imagine that you're facing 12 on a big clock, and you're going to walk your hands to the right to where an imaginary 1 and 2 would be. Your right hand's going to stay the short hand, your left hand's going to extend more forward, and you're going to bow halfway over. Now grip your hands onto the wood floor. You're pushing your right hand forward, and you're drawing your left hand back. It's almost like a tiger grip with your fingertips. Now, if that's too much traction for you, or if it inhibits your breath, you don't have to add that extra effort. Take some deep breaths in and out through the nose. Feel that surge of energy along the left side body. And then inhale, slowly lift your heart. Exhale, walk your hands over to the imaginary 10 and 11. Your right hand is going to be the long hand of the clock. You're dripping halfway to the floor. This may be plenty for you, but if you want to add in a little extra, create the tiger grip with your hands. Left hand forward, right hand back. Breathe into the left side. Feel even what's occurring in the armpit region where we house lymph nodes and white blood cells. It's really important to do deep breathing and deep stretching in this area of the body. On your next in-breath, slide your right hand back. Go ahead and return back to the tabletop position. Send your right leg to the right side and turn the toes slightly away from your body. Ground your left hand, root it down so that you feel your heart in your left ear kind of picking up, and then splay the right arm skyward to stargazer pose. Good, stacking the shoulders, energizing the top fingers. And now as you're pushing down through the right foot, slightly kind of squeezing through your right knee, and that will help to contract the quads. Good, exhale, bring the right hand down and then lower the right knee down to joint the table. Extend your left leg to the left side. Root your right hand down, pick up your left, and feel the heart and the right ear lifting away from the arm, and then circle that left arm upward. Taking this twist. So the emotional body is said to be the core, the solar plexus. The emotional seat is said to be that second or sacral chakra. One more deep breath in. And exhale, bring the left hand down and lower the left knee down. Come up to standing Vajrasana. Look back at your shins, make sure they're parallel. If you're pigeon toeing, try to angle the ankles so they're in line with the second and third toes. And then bring your hands to Namaste at the hearts. As you inhale, let your arms sweep up alongside the face. And as you exhale, you're going to twist to the right. Inhale, bring the arms back up, turn to face the front. Exhale, twist off to your left. Good, we're going to continue this. Inhale through center. Exhale, open to the right. Beautiful, keep that going. You're welcome to use that Ujjayi pranayama. Jai means victory, so it's gaining victory over yourself. Becoming the master of your mind and energy. Last one's to the left. Inhale, arms back up. And exhale, bring it down to table. Now, from table, go ahead and walk your hands a baby step beyond the shoulders. Curl the toes under and launch up and back into your downward facing dog. Now, from downward facing dog, push back away from your hands. Now press through the balls of the feet, elevate your heels and your sit bones, creating this V shape with your body. Open up the channel of your breath and let calmness, care, and compassion seep into every cell and fiber within. Slowly begin to walk the feet towards the top of the mat. And when the feet come side by side, folding over to your Uttanasana, you're tipping your weight forward towards your toes. That way your hips are exhaling past your heels. You're distributing the weight evenly between each leg, each foot. Let your arms dangle, let your head fall heavy. Let this help to replenish the mind. It's a rebooting of the mind. Our mind is like our inner computer system. Let's clear the clutter. Delete some of the old scripts. And make space for the new.
affirming nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. Nothing and no one on this earth can hold back the evolution of humanity's next step forward. On your next in-breath, let's take the arms to the sides and up overhead. When you bring the arms up, you're pausing here and you're rooting the feet down, lining up the legs, feeling the extension for your side body and vertebrae. Now you're going to take a hold of your left wrist, really exaggerate the lengthening in your left side body and curve to the right. Take some deep breaths in and out through the nose. Make the left foot heavier. Affirming strength and courage, build up my body cells to embrace and to accept the new changes. Release the right hand down, and what we're going to do really quick is swing the hip out, bring more flexion into the right side, but we're not holding it because that's too deep. And bring it back up. Yeah, nice though, right? Inhale, let the arms come back up. Okay, plug the feet down. Make sure you have that nice, firm, solid foundation. Clip a hold of your right wrist. And then really root your right foot. Really exaggerate the length on the right side. And then pour to your left. And go to the degree where you can still openly and efficiently breathe. Hips over, create more flexion. Good. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, lower the arms down. You may have a little soreness in your side body tomorrow. It's still hard. Inhale, let your arms come back up. Bring the palms together at the top and gaze up towards me. Exhale, bring the hands down, follow your gaze. So as the hands come down in front of the face, the chin's more parallel. Bring it down to the heart. Follow the hands, hinge forward, and bow out. Now, we're gonna, let me think. Okay, we're not gonna use the blocks for the first one. Step back with your left foot, but not so long back, because we're trying to keep the right leg somewhat straight until we can float the hands up. And you're slightly turning the back foot. And then lift your arms out shoulder heights. Yeah. Again, plug the feet down, lift through your knees, define your quads, and slowly stretch out over the right leg. Windmill the right hand down to the shin. Let your left arm splay up. So even though this is obviously different than that warm-up pose of stargazer, it has a similar quality because we're bringing in the twist. We're trying to stack the shoulders. We're trying to keep the side body long, the rib cage open, the breath still flowing. Imagine that left hand is like your receiver of the new divine light codes coming down to earth. Affirming here, energy and joy fill up my body cells. Now take that top arm across your ear. Take it into a little deeper bit of a side stretch. Gaze down towards your right foot. Lunge that right knee. Slowly spin off your back heel. And now you'll have to wiggle the left toes a little farther back. Good. From here, be more on fingertips or the base knuckles, because we're going to lift the head. And when you lift the head up, allow the back thigh and hip to slightly sink, like a little bit of a cow tilt. And as you exhale, push harder through the front foot Scoop in through the belly, bow your head, a little bit of a cat stretch, but you're not losing the lunge. You got it. Inhale, just a little movement in the spine. Good. Exhale. Take the cat stretch. Inhale, little miniature cow tilt with the lunge. And then exhale, cat stretch. All right, now inhale, come back into the regular form of the lunge. And now we're going to focus on the hips instead of the spine. Inhale, lift your hips up. You don't need to straighten the front leg. That's not the point here. And then exhale, drop and sink the hips. Kind of like what you did in the cow tilt, except you're not lifting your head all the way. Good, a little pulsing. Inhale the hips skyward. Exhale, sink them downward. Just one more. Flow with your breath. And then slowly sink your back knee. Keep the back toes curled just a little bit. This is where you may want to find your blocks and bring them in to frame the foot. And they can be on different heights, whatever is comfortable for you. You're still leaning forward. Now untuck the back toes and slowly build up. Yeah. We're going to make this a little bit more active. So push slightly through that front foot. If you draw up through the pelvic floor, in and up through the navel, you can keep your hands stationed here, or you're welcome to lift the arms up overhead. And breathe. So we're not sinking as deeply into the hips. This is a little bit more of the active variation of the half lunge. And as we exhale, we're going to sink the hips, and you're welcome to bring the right hand down to the block to help to stabilize. Now, when you're sinking down through your back thigh and hips, do you feel the stretch in that psoas muscle? So some of you know that once I closed the studio last year, oh my goodness, and had all those big moves, my whole pelvis got twisted. I had major pain in my SI joint. And I've been working with a chiropractor this year because the pain got to be too much. I was trying to do my own yoga therapy and I needed more help. Once I got the pelvis readjusted, I was still in some pain, especially sitting on the couch watching a movie. And so I'm still wanting you to, we're releasing the psoas, okay? So try to stay with me. I discovered the last couple months, okay, my pelvis is back. Why am I still having some trouble? It's no longer my SI joint. It's muscular or fascial. So I started working with someone else in the office, and we discovered I have an overactive psoas on the left side. So we're going to release that psoas. And to release it more, we're going to try to lift the left hand. And once we lift the left hand, we're going to keep the hips low and maybe see if you can strike a slight back bend. This is all I can do. If that's too much, leave it out. It may be too much for your body. Honor what you're feeling. You can lean forward as Denny's doing if that's your need. So the psoas goes in with emotions. All right, bring that left skin down. Okay, ooh, push into the blocks. Back the hips up, because we held that a little bit. Oh yeah, feels better, right? Now flip your right toes to face skyward. And stay on the center of your heel and splay the toes. Now, even being on the stilts of the blocks here, you should feel it, right? So if you're good, stay here. If you want to lower the blocks and then the elbows, you can bow. And just make sure you're not collapsing that area that we were stretching out in child's pose, that area behind the heart. You can even take the blocks more forward to stretch the arms to make sure you're not doing that if you want to change it up. So there's options. Remember, this pose is called half Hanumanasana. And I've shared with you many stories about Hanuman. And one of the morals to one of the stories is to remember to take bold and courageous leaps of faith. Imagine if no one ever took a risk, how stuck humanity would be. All right, now you may want your blocks on a lower height. You just have to check it out. I do need mine on the lowest for this. You may not need a block at all. You may need it taller. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna root the left hand. Remember, as we root the left hand, the heart and the ear kind of elevate up, and then we're gonna take a revolving twist. It's kind of like revolving triangle, and it's really good. Are you a runner? I thought so. Really great for runners, because it's targeting that IT band. And if you're a person who drives a lot, you know, what is that called? Trucker leg? That usually has to do with the IT band as well. All right, let's come out. Come back to the right foot. All right, move the blocks aside. Slide your right foot back to your inner table. And feel free to take child's pose. Remember, child's pose is not ideal for you. You can do that passive crocodile. The one where you're splayed out in a prone position, arms crossed as a headrest. So I want you to send your mindfulness to one place in your body. Maybe it's the pressure at the brow, maybe you're gazing into that area to stimulate it. Perhaps it's noticing your tongue. Is it pushing into the roof of the mouth? Is it relaxed? All right, on your next in-breath, rock up to hands and knees. All right, we have a second side, so let's curl the toes, lift up and back to Hanumanasana, your downward facing dog. Tighten the hips, a lowering of the head. Breath staying full and completing each one. All right, let's walk and travel the feet forward to the top of the mat. Folding and hinging from your hips in Untitled, checking the weight distribution in the feet. Making sure you're not creating any unnecessary tension in your neck. And then inhale, coming all the way up to the top. We're going to take that twist like we did in Standing Vajrasana. So open to the twist to the right. Inhale, turn back to face the front. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, forward. Exhale, twist to the right. Keep that going. Changing it up. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, bring the palms together. Gaze up towards the wrists. That strains the neck, leave it out. That strains the shoulders, leave it out. Exhale, bring the hands down. Follow your gaze with your hands. The chin becomes more parallel as it passes through the face. Gaze down towards the heart. Hinge over and then separate the hands as you release. All right, we're going to take the right foot back, not very far, because we're not overly bending the left knee. And then spin the right toes a little bit more open. Good, triangle pose. Splay the wings of the heart. Round the feet. Engage the legs. Engage the core for better balance. And then when you're ready, lengthen out over the front leg, windmill down to Eclipse. Breath deep and wide. Stacking of the shoulders. The right hand is your antenna. So remember, the light is highlighting what has been below the surface. What has been showing up? What is being cleansed? Receiving that information, knowing that it's coming to you in a loving way. And then take that right arm across the face. Stretch out that right side body. Look down at your left foot. Good, when you're ready, lunge that and bring the hands down, and you're gonna have to wiggle the right toes back. Make sure that front knee's aligned over the ankle. We're gonna do the spine first, the little cat-cow. So as you inhale, really lift the crown of your head up, and you'll feel the back thigh drop a little. And then as you exhale, push through the left foot around the back, head towards the knee. And then inhale, think of cow. Exhale, think of cat. It's not going to be very dramatic. Continue that process. Now inhale that regular lunge. And then we're going to focus at the hips. Inhale, lift the hips, the head stays neutral. Exhale, sink the hips. Spine and neck more neutral. Inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, drop them down. One more. Good. Now, slowly sink the back knee. Try to keep the back toes curled just to work the foot for a moment. This is where we'll start to bring the blocks in. Continue to sink down through the hips. Untuck the toes. You're still leaning forward. And then you'll push into the blocks to slowly bring the vertebrae up. You can even walk the blocks a little closer in. We'll be active first. Push through the left foot. Draw up through the inner thighs, up to the pelvic floor, in and up through the navel. Maybe floating the arms up. Untitled. Focus on what needs to anchor. Good. Now bring the hands down and you can melt the hips back down. We're going to work into that psoas. So if you need to lean forward, that's fine. If you can stay upright, great. Just let yourself get into gravity. And then you can use the left hand on the block for more stability. You don't even have to lift the right hand, but if you're feeling encouraged to do that, elevate the right arm skyward. And if you tilt back, it's going to gain access even more. Just depends day to day. What is in your wheelhouse? Pay attention to all the signals, any warning signs if you need to exit. Eventually lowering the arm. All right, we're going to push into the blocks in order to help because we might get a little stuck there. Peel the left foot off the floor. Toes jutting skyward. Stay on the center of your heel. Standing long through the thoracic area behind the heart. Your blocks can lower. You can lower. And you can even take the blocks further ahead of the foot. But this depends on where you want to take it today. And just remember, yoga is not meant to be an extreme sport. You don't want to always take it to the extreme. There's this yoga teacher in Nashville that a lot of teachers have like a crush on. And it's not like a crush because of the way she looks, even though she's gorgeous. It's just what she can do with her body. Like, she's amazing. Like, if she used to put on these like shows, like literally shows where she was like showing all her yoga magic. And it was so astounding to watch. But guess what happened? Hypermobility. Hypermobility.
And so she's having to, and been having to train herself to strengthen her body. That's why I say don't always go to the extreme. Sometimes don't even go all the way to your edge, back away a little bit. Make sure you're also adding in the strength factor, not always about the stretch. All right, you're coming back to the sole of the left foot. And then we'll slide the left knee back to tabletop position. All right, we're gonna flip that left hand and we're gonna thread it up underneath the right or thread the needle pose. And then if you want to lay the right arm down, you can. Some people like to lift it and thread it behind the back. You can also do that. This is actually probably one of my favorite poses because it's a beautiful blend of a twist as well as an inversion. Inhale, let's come up. Exhale, flip your right hand, thread and loop it underneath. Just determine and decide what you want to do with your left arm. Resting it or wrapping it. All right, we're going to end with a little restorative. So take your blocks like that and create your slide. But we're not going to hold it as long as restorative. I want you to begin using it like a recliner. Some people like the feet together. I prefer the feet apart. You can decide what's better for your knees, what's better for your hips, what feeds your relaxation better. Let your shoulders melt back onto the frog, let your palms turn open and your eyelids close. We were on the palms of the hands for several poses. And when we're doing that, the fingers have to really splay and spread out. Here, the fingers naturally curl in. Give yourself a breathing treatment here. Acknowledging the breath as it flows in. Equally acknowledging as you release. So last week we ended our series with Eclipse. And I shared with you the roots and the intention of true Shavasana. So we're not practicing our Shavasana now, we're using this as a breathing treatment. In true Shavasana, we allow the breath rate and the heart rate to slow. Here, we're regulating the breath. And I'd like you to do just a simple diaphragmatic breath because that's more calming.
Now, release the control of the breath. If you feel comfortable enough here and want to remain for Shavasana, you can. I would suggest, however, if your mind has been overactive, or if you've had poor sleeping patterns, I would suggest turning the palms down, bringing the torso up, turning yourself around, and elevating the legs. And being here. This is like a natural calming agent for the mind. And it's something that I need to remember, and anyone else that's having trouble sleeping needs to remember, can be a good antidote before we go to bed to get us calmed down enough in order to drift off to sleep. And you could also try legs at the wall. Here, we're no longer regulating the breath. Just let it naturally come and go. Find something to pinpoint your focus on. For dharana leads to dhyana, which leads to samadhi. That means our one-pointed concentration leads us to meditation that takes us into that realm of peace and contentment. So maybe it's just witnessing your breath. Maybe it's paying attention to that one area of the body you focused on before. Maybe it's a mantra or an affirmation that you need to repeat repetitively over and over in your mind. Maybe it's just listening to the music. Pick one.
Or relax. You're able to retreat to the safety and hermitage of your own heart. You discover, cultivate inner peace. Even if you don't feel blissed out, maybe just feel a little clearer. Take your time, deepening the flow of the breath. Noticing how you control the breath again. The life force that you're bringing in, livening the mind and heart. Bringing a little movement into your practice. And begin your exit out of your pose. And we'll meet each other in a more formal seat. Joining your palms together, allowing the right to meet the left. Allowing the solar to meet the lunar. The masculine to meet the feminine. So when you hear about the age of Aquarius coming in and the divine feminine coming more into play, it doesn't mean that the divine feminine is going to take over completely. It means there's going to be this merging, this uniting, this equality, this equal respect. And this is a respectful gesture in India. And even though it's a formal reading in India, we can honor the roots and lineage of where yoga stems from through this mudra. This mudra that can represent grace and gratitude in our modern culture, but something that means something much deeper. And that's each of our souls sees and recognizes another soul. That the light within us recognizes and sees the light in others. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thanks guys for joining today. I hope everybody sleeps better. I hope everybody feels better. Even if it's for a brief time. Thanks for joining, you guys. Have a good day, and I hope to see you, let's see, Wednesday. Hopefully Wednesday we'll talk about the Vegas nerve.
All right.